What's going on, Jets fans? Welcome into NYJ Today. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down some of the targets that you should have from the New York Jets 2021 roster on your fantasy football team. You do not want to let your bias get in the way here. You don't want to overdraft these players. So I'm going to talk about some players that I would feel comfortable having on my roster in fantasy football this upcoming season. Let's get after it. Before we get into the video, if I could get you all to please jet up the like button on this video, and if you're new here and you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are doing a giveaway currently. We're giving away a signed Wayne Chrebet mini helmet. We're going to give that away once we reach 1,000 subscribers. So give yourself a shot at the prize and support the channel all at the same time. There's a lot that goes into winning a fantasy championship. You need a little bit of lady luck on your side to avoid injuries. You need to draft those players that boom and have just an awesome season. You need to be active in the waiver wire, making trades during the season. And most notably, you need to be prepared heading into your drafts. And so I thought what would be a cool way for Jets fans to be prepared is to understand where these Jets players are being not only average draft position, but also, their average auction bid. And so I thought I would share that information with you guys today. And try to help you guys bring home a championship in your leagues. First up has to be quarterback Zach Wilson, the rookie that the Jets drafted at number 2 overall out of BYU. Lots of potential, and I actually think that he is a candidate for Rookie of the Year this upcoming season. I know a lot of people are going to point to Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne in Jacksonville. There's other players that could obviously be considered as well, but I think Zach Wilson has a real shot with the offensive line that they have. And with the weapons that they have around him, I think that Zach Wilson is worth a flyer as your backup quarterback. If you're in a 2-quarterback league, I think that he's definitely worth, taking a risk on and maybe having as your second quarterback, maybe even a third quarterback if you're able to, if you're in a 10-team league. Right now, his ADP is 163, which makes him the 28th quarterback, being selected in fantasy football. So the risk is low because you're going to get him really late in the draft, or at least you should be. And in most cases, you might even be able to get him, after the draft has ended. You could get him in waiver wire pickups, and you could use him as a streaming option as well, week to week. I don't know if I'll be drafting Zach Wilson. I might consider taking him, in a week where my quarterback was on a bye week, something like that. But the upside is definitely there with Zach Wilson, so just don't overdraft him, but I definitely think that there's a chance that he could have a really good season this upcoming year. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the running backs on the New York Jets. We have La'Mical Pirine, who was drafted in the 2020 draft in the 4th round out of Florida. We have Michael Carter, drafted in the 4th round of the 21 draft out of UNC. We have Ty Johnson returning from last year. He showed a lot of promise last year on a bad football team. And then they also signed Tevin Coleman from the San Francisco 49ers in free agency to a 1-year deal. Very, very cheap. It's very unlikely that he's back on the team in 22. So it's my guess that they will use him as a 3rd down running back. You could potentially consider, having him on your team if you were in in a league that does PPR. I think he could get some receptions out of the backfield early in the season, but I do not think this is a guy that you're going to draft and roster all season long. Michael Carter is the one that has most people's attention right now, according to the ADP, 86 overall, and he is the 34th overall running back being selected. If you're in a fantasy auction league, he's averaging about $7 on his buys. I think he's going to go for more than that in my league personally. I think a lot of people are interested in running backs. And I think eventually by the time the season rolls around, I think a lot of people are going to be very, very intrigued by him. And again, you're not drafting Michael Carter to have early season success. You're more or less drafting him as a backup and as a guy who could ultimately win you your league, because you want to take swings in fantasy football. You want to draft those guys that have that boom potential. And I think Michael Carter, by mid-season to the end of the year, I think that the offensive line is going to be really playing nicely together. Lots of potential in that offensive line with Mekhi Becton, Alijah Vera-Tucker, both drafted in the top 14 of the NFL draft. So Gotta love that idea with Michael Carter running behind them. And then the real good value here, in my opinion, guys, is Ty Johnson. And right now, he's not even really, I didn't even find his ADP because I don't think there is an ADP. He's not being drafted. And I think that's a mistake. I think by the time preseason ends, I think that it's going to be pretty well known that this is a guy that is going to get touches in this offense, early down work. I don't know about his ability to be on the field to catch passes, but I think he's worth a swing. If you're taking, if you're in a standard draft, a snake draft, take him with one of your last picks and, just hope for the best. I think that this is a guy that's worth taking a swing at. And worst case scenario, you cut him a week or two into the season and you just move on and you pivot and plan accordingly. I'm not so sure about LaMichael Pirine. I think some people believe that he will make the team as a fourth running back. I would be very surprised if they kept 4, but if they do, and he is on the team, he could be considered. I personally am not going to be drafting LaMichael Pirine. He is right now ADP 255, which is, super, super late into the drafts. 78th overall running back being taken. If there's an injury that happens in this backfield, then I might be a little bit more intrigued in LaMichael Pirine, but right now, I'm not drafting LaMichael Pirine. I just think there are better running backs on the football team, and I don't really see him, producing at a high level. Of all of the players that I've mentioned so far, I think Michael Carter is, a definite candidate for me on my football team. The one that I think is most likely to be drafted by me, I think Corey Davis right now is the number 1 wide receiver on this team, and they signed him in free agency, I believe, to do that job, to fill that role. ADP right now of 127. His average auction value is $3. So you're not paying, hardly anything to get this guy. And he is a legitimate starting outside wide receiver, just barely under 1,000 yards, for the Tennessee Titans last year. I think he missed 2 games. So this is a borderline 1,000-yard receiver, going to be likely the number 1 target on the outside for the New York Jets. I think that's an outstanding value. The other one that I think a lot of people in fantasy, that are very interested in is Denzel Mims. Right now, his ADP is 205. And right now, he's not even being, selected in auction drafts. He's got a value of $0. So you can get him, maybe in that waiver wire realm, or even at the very end of your draft, just take a swing, see how he does early in the season. And then if things aren't going so well, cut him and move on and hope for the best, see if you can find somebody to replace him. Another really good value is Elijah Moore. His ADP 152 is not being bought in auction drafts, and he's the 56th overall wide receiver. Again, Elijah Moore, you're not drafting him because you think he's going to have 1,000 yards this year. You're not expecting him to have double-digit touchdowns. What you're thinking, though, with Elijah Moore is that week to week, he's going to be pretty consistently involved in the offense. He's going to get carries. Yes, I said carries as a wide receiver. I think they're going to use him in that way. They will use him in those jet sweep motions. They will also use him even maybe as a running back. They might line him up in the backfield. And he's being drafted behind players like Brandon Cooks on the Texans. I'm not really, call me crazy. I'm not too interested in any Texans as of right now with Deshaun Watson's situation going on. Jalen Waddle of the Dolphins is being drafted ahead of Elijah Moore. And I get it. Jalen Waddle has a ton of speed. I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't draft Jalen Waddle. But I will say that the consistency that you will get from Elijah Moore, in my opinion, is a little bit more attractive than the boom or bust potential that will come with a Jalen Waddle. Marvin Jones on the Jacksonville Jaguars is being drafted ahead of Elijah Moore. Rashad Bateman on the Ravens. I love Rashad Bateman. I have a video of him on the channel, leading up to the draft. I'm just not so sure that he is going to be, again, a consistent week-to-week producer in a very run-heavy offense. And then the last one, Henry Ruggs is being drafted ahead of Elijah Moore. He struggled last year. He did not make a lot of plays. Things can change for Henry Ruggs. He can change, what happened from his rookie year to this year. But again, I feel more comfortable with that week-to-week producer, and I think that's what Elijah Moore is going to bring you to your fantasy football team. Hot take right here. I would not draft any of the tight ends on the New York Jets roster. I am not taking a swing on Chris Herndon. I'm not even taking a swing on Tyler Kroft, who I believe will win the job and be the #1 tight end for this team. I don't see him, pushing, 400 to 500 yards. I don't see him pushing into that 6 to 8 touchdown range. So at that point, you're not really getting much of anything at the tight end position. You're better off, pivoting to a team that has an experienced quarterback, or maybe just a tight end that is a little bit more potential in an offense. Last but not least, I was blown away by this statistic. The New York Jets defense and special teams is the 29th ranked in fantasy football right now. And I think that's crazy. So a couple of factors here. With defense, you are not supposed to be drafting your defense special teams early in the draft. If you do that, you're making a critical mistake, because defense and special teams, although they can score you a lot of points, it is very, very, it varies week to week, how they're going to produce, because a lot of it depends on who they're matched up against. And so what you want to do with your defense is you want to look for teams that are going to get good pass rush and can create turnovers from that pass rush. And early in the season, week 1, although they're on the road, the Jets are playing against Sam Darnold. And I'm not going to sit here and allow my bias to get involved here. But if you look at, what we've seen, the evidence, from the past 3 seasons, Sam Darnold turns the football over. And so if you're looking for a little bit of potential for that week 1, if you want to get yourself a solid defense, and then you can, again, you stream defense throughout the season, or at least that's what I do in my league, the Jets would be a great week 1 candidate. And you might even be able to play them week 2 versus the Patriots. I don't really get too scared about the Patriots offense. They're going to be at home week 2. So, take a swing at the Jets. You could take them at the very end of your drafts. And I think there's a lot of potential with that defense for the first 2 weeks of the season. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about my evaluation of these players in the fantasy realm of football. Let me know if you disagree or agree with my takes. Who are some of the players that you're targeting on the New York Jets roster in your fantasy football leagues? Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I look forward to reading and commenting on all of your comments. That's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching NYJ Today. If you could all do me a favor and jump up the like button on this video, and if you're new here and you've enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you again for watching. Go Jets, and I'll see you guys next time.